Bumblebee is directed by Travis Knight and follows Charlie, played by Haley Steinfeld, who stumbles across a yellow Volkswagen Beetle in a junkyard, takes it home, and finds out that it's a sentient alien robot with no voice and apparently no memory of who or what it is. Meanwhile, both the military and the Decepticons are trying to track down said Beetle for reasons of their own, and hilarity ensues. Since I haven't recorded reviews for any of the previous Transformers movies, allow me to start by giving some background. I was 9 when the Transformers first aired, and I have loved everything Transformers ever since. It was my favorite cartoon from that time period, and the animated Transformers the movie, cheesy as it may be, is still a favorite of mine. So when I heard that Michael Bay was doing a live-action movie way back when, I was very excited. Unfortunately, that excitement died a horrible, excruciating death.
Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man.
Get that thing to stop, huh?
And I've hated Michael Bay ever since. While I still love Transformers, I loathe the Bayformers movies. So here we are with a new movie, a new writer, and a new director. The question is, does it suck as much as the Bayformers movies? Mostly no, but also yes. Let me see if I can explain. My biggest complaint with Bayformers, outside of the fact that it paid zero attention to the source material, was that it ultimately wasn't about the Transformers. It was about Sam Witwicky. Transformers is about the Transformers, not humans. I understand telling a story through a proxy. The Crimes of Grindelwald is a good example of this. It's about Dumbledore and Grindelwald, but it tells the story through Newt. Bumblebee falls into the same trap as the Bayformers movies, as the story doesn't just focus on the character of Charlie. It's about her and her issues and their resolution. Seriously, Bee basically becomes a walking metaphor for her father. It's so human-focused that while a number of Transformers show up in the first 10 minutes, after that there are really only 3. Bee and the 2 Decepticons chasing him, Shatter, voiced by Angela Bassett, and Dropkick, voiced by Justin Theroux. Everything else is Charlie, her relationships with her mom, stepdad, and brother, her troubles with the popular kids in the area, and her ability to deal with the death of her father. Bee himself gets very little character development, though we do get to see how he lost his voice. Which actually brings me to another issue I have with this movie. Is it supposed to be a prequel to the Bayformers movies or a reboot of the series? If it's a prequel, then it's actually asking you to scrap most of what happened in those movies. The Allspark is gone. How and why the Transformers even came to Earth is completely changed. The pictures we see of Bee being on Earth during World War II and The Last Night no longer make any sense. If this is supposed to be a prequel, then I'm 100% sure that the writer did not watch any of the original Bayformers movies. Moving on. Another thing I hated about the Bayformers movies was the character design. What makes the Transformers so relatable is how human-like they are in both action and appearance. The Bayformers robots were basically walking piles of scrap metal with little to no personality. In Bumblebee, they make a noticeable attempt to get back to the source material, but ultimately miss the mark. The opening scene was way better than anything Bay ever produced. The character certainly had more of a Generation 1 feel, but it was still pretty clunky. I liked that they decided to go with the Beetle instead of the Camaro as Bee's alt mode, but his transformation was still stupidly complex, and while the robot mode was definitely an improvement, he was still just a giant robot. One thing I think they definitely got right was the action. In Bayformers, the fight scenes were an absolute mess. Between long, drawn-out, slow-motion takes and impossible to decipher CGI shaky cam nightmares, most of the action in Bayformers was hard to watch. Not so with Bumblebee. Sure, there's still a ton of CGI, but at least you can actually tell what is happening on the screen, and it doesn't give you a headache or make you nauseous watching it. Another thing I really liked was Charlie's would-be love interest, Mimo, played by George Lindeborg Jr. I liked the levity that the character brought to some of the more serious stuff, and I just really like the actor, and I'm looking forward to see what else he does. One character that I surprisingly didn't like was Agent Burns, played by
John Cena!
I really like John Cena, but I don't know. I think he's good at action, and he's good at comedy, but he's not good at blending the two, and he felt really out of place here. There's a good story being told here, but unfortunately it's about a human, and not a sentient alien being. And that's where things fall apart for me. That said, it's not a bad movie. Most of the humor lands pretty well. When things get emotional, Steinfeld certainly has the acting chops to sell it, even in the presence of a CGI robot. And when the action gets going, it's big and bombastic without being outlandish and or hard to watch. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's most certainly better than any of the Bayformers movies, but it's still not a movie about Transformers. Maybe one day. And that'll do. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you back here with another review.